Pac-Man Party!
Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Knuckles the Echidna here from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be doing our brand new Let's Play through our YouTube channel that have been holding up for 4 years now at this rate. But even then though, this is a Nintendo Wii game as far as you already know. And you can definitely tell what game we're going to be doing a Let's Play on because, well, we'll discuss more into that as soon as we're able to actually see the introduction sequence. Even then, the game has been made by Bandai Namco Games, and of course, Namco.
Pac-Man Party!
Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be playing through Pac-Man Party, released originally for the Nintendo Wii back in 2010, and later on in 2012, this game later being released on the new forms of Nintendo 3DS version known as Pac-Man Party 3D, which I believe it did originally came out in 2012 on the 3DS version. Oh yeah, by the way, I managed to play this game on my own time for a brief moment's noticing, and that's how the fact of the matter is though, I've managed to able to got those rewards while doing so. So yes, this game was again being originally released in 2010, and the reason why this has been released in 2010 back in the day, because as you can see on this particular balloon in the background, it's the celebration of the 30th anniversary of Pac-Man. So you can definitely tell how the fact that this game was now pretty much 8 years old in that time. But I usually haven't got the game back in the day because I managed to able to be gone skeptical at first, but then later on in during the likes of 2012 that I was started interesting with the actual game, most notably because of the Slim Kirby's about to be did manage to done that Let's Play back in during 2012, so I've decided in during the likes of in 2014, among the same year as whenever I got The Simpsons Road Rage for the Nintendo GameCube, I might as well able to actually purchase myself the forms of Pac-Man Party for the Nintendo Wii version. Even though I did technically got myself the forms of the 3DS version first, but even then though, for what I've experienced the 3DS version of the game, we'll get into more on that until later on. But as you can see, we've got ourselves these classic Namco games from Pac-Man to Galaga and Dig Dug, for the forms of the classic games mode, and of course much like any forms of how it does in any other Mario Party Let's Plays, we're also able to do all of the modes in a chronological order. Well, only one exception by the forms of story mode as you can see right there, because all it does in the story mode is just basically a single player experience where you have to go through every single boss throughout the game, and also you'll be forced to able to play as Pac-Man this entire time. So even then though, that's well, it's the new forms of how it does it in any other Mario Party games out there. Well, technically new forms of any other Mario Party games as well. That's how the fact of the matter is though, you'll be forced to able to actually deal with the single player or the singular character you're going to be using. So, as you can see, I haven't really touched this game for 4 years ago. So that's why the fact of the matter is though, that we'll explain more now as soon as we're able to jump into action. So, let's get into the new game quickly, and yes, I'm also able to start all over again with this. And you can actually just play this game up to 4 players, but for me, as far as the actual Let's Play of this game is concerned, we'll be added in some of these computer points within, because, well, 4 of them in fact, so even though we can have some fun here. And as you can see right there, as far as the character roster goes, in the forms of Pac-Man Party, we've obviously got Pac-Man and the 4 named ghosts, which are Pinky, Blinky, Clyde, and Inky. And in addition to that, we also come across into the forms of these 3 unknown characters, or in this case, these 3 only appearances in Pac-Man's history, by the forms of Roger the Robot, Patra, somewhat of more likely the Anubis type of cat or something like that, and finally Woofer, which appears to be somewhat of a snowy, hairy dude right there. So, for this first board in the forms of Pac-Man Party, I'm also able to actually go get started with the forms of Pac-Man to select with. And I'm also able to actually select those 4 different ghosts until we get to the later boards for the game. Throughout the whole entire game. Sorry for a little bit of attentions right there. So for the most part though, I'm also able to select Roger, Woofa, and Pedro for this first board with these computer opponents wise. And speaking of which, here are the main boards of the game. There are 5 of them in total, just like the ones how it does in Mario Party DS, and especially notable for Mario Party 10. So even now we've got Greenwood Grove, and also Crystal Cliffs, Spooky Hollow, Mirage Oasis, and finally Celebration Avenue. Which, even then though, we'll get into more details as soon as I discuss more onto the forms of, well, let's just say the 3DS version for the better, because I'll discuss more into that as soon as we're able to get to the main action. So, obviously the first board we're going to be selecting is, of course, Greenwood Grove, because that's the very simple stage. And before we start things off, we're actually going to be selecting up to 2 different courses, the normal course and the special course. The only major differences between the two is the fact that the special courses actually add something new to the table, whilst in the forms of the normal course, it's just very standard game board or something like that. And before we take things off, or in this case, before we actually jump into the actual game board itself, we actually have ourselves a tutorial option if you want to turn the thing on and off, but I must well turn it off. And you can also change your computer difficulty settings, weak, normal, or strong mode. And for the most part though, I'm actually going to be stuck with normal mode, just because I think normal mode can be a little bit more challenging, I will admit though right away. And also, taking notice from Boom Street, and especially notable for Fortune Street, if you ever played that game before, well, at least, well, this game came out before Boom Street anyway. You can actually upgrade to the forms of how much cookies you want to win. The maximum amount is the forms of 75,000. So, for the most part though, for the first board, I'm actually going to be going through 15,000 cookies. I thought I was going to be saying that. So anyways, let's get to it with Pac-Man Party for the Nintendo Wii/Nintendo 3DS. So, let's get into it. Also, throughout the game, you're going to be seeing this loading screens a lot, or in this case, for more accurately, the most annoying loading screen in the entire game, because all it gives is just a balloon hovering up around, along with the forms of the Pac-Man icon attached to it. So, yeah, you might see that a lot in this playthrough, even especially noticeable when we actually get to the main games themselves, obviously. So from the start though, we actually get this thing started by the forms of we actually gathered about 2,000 cookies to start off with. And for the most part though, there is no turn order this time around though, unlike in Mario Party that you have to deal with the turn order, that who goes first or who goes last. But in this game, very similar to the likes of how it does it in Mario Party Star Rush, and even Mario Party the Top 100 in the minigame match mode, every single opponent are about to be moving on the exact same time. So even then though, the only major differences I feel like is the fact that, as you can see, this game is filled with a lot of castles around all over the place. And we'll explain more on that as soon as we're able to actually just to get to, you know, the next turn. So, as you can see, Roger the Robot is able to get into this lucky space syndrome, and basically every time he was about to be activate one of those very good treasure chests, sometimes you get yourselves a rewards after when you're able to get them from. So, meanwhile, me and Woofa is about to be land on the exact same space, and it looks like I did one here. So yes, this is how the main gimmick of the forms of Pac-Man Party looks like. Basically, unlike in the forms of traditional Mario Party game 1 through 8 in DS, now how the fact of the matter is though, oh yeah, excluding for the likes of Mario Party Star Rush and the Top 100, and even especially noticeable with the forms of the upcoming Super Mario Party. And basically whoever gets the most stars at the end wins. However though, in the forms of Mario Party 9 and 10, you know, whoever gets the most of the majority of the mini-stars will win the game. And especially noticeable with the forms of Mario Party Island Tour that sometimes the rule system in Mario Party Island Tour is all over the place because of how the fact that it might get a little bit more tad confusing at times. But apart from that though, I can get used to that. So, in here, basically all we have to do in order to actually win the game itself, especially noticeable in any other board games for this matter, in the forms of Pac-Man Party, we need to reach a certain amount of cookies whoever decides to win. And if you manage to reach that certain amount, we need to reach all the way back to the very end, or at the starting point of the board, then you weren't able to actually win the game. So that's all there is to know. So, and throughout along the way, you can able to actually upgrade your castles, because yes, there are some castles we need to able to land on specific space. And every time you actually just manage to get yourselves a very good number, if you manage to get bypassed by the forms of those little power pellets, you can actually get yourselves the additional cookies with it. So even then though, that it's kind of like how it does it in any other Pac-Man games and stuff like that. In fact, we have not seen Pac-Man in action in our YouTube channel ever since, well, in the forms of Duffy, it still needs to get back into Pac-Man World on the original PlayStation. So, again, expecting there's going to be a huge delay, just like how it does it in Luigi's Mansion Let's Play back in 2016. And Luigi has finally finished up with that game and during the likes of this year in particular. So, anyways though, as far as the actual board itself, it's not that very unique. Because even then though, as far as you can see for the actual distances, it's just basically a little bit of a square grid based. Which even then, it's not like the going from grid to grid, unlike in the forms of Mario Party Star Rush or the top 100 for the minigame match. But it's just that you're going on the straight lines, which is not that pleasant. But even then, that at least compared to how it does in any other Mario Party game, at least to be more specifically, the Hudson Soft developers of the Mario Parties we all know and love, it does have some unique charm to it, especially noticeable with the forms of how these boards actually worked out to be. So anyways though, here's a brief about the forms of whenever we tried to able to do this game back in, let's just say back in 2014. Originally we were trying to do this game back in 4 years ago, but somehow it's gone alright. Well, there are a couple of issues, like the forms of, the first part works very well back in the day, but the second part on the other hand though is being completely blocked by unknown reasons. Which, even then that's the reason why that it just took so long to able to now finally jump into the forms of Pac-Man Party. Although, sure it does have some issues, which we'll get into that in a moment temporarily, but for now, looks like we have got ourselves a whole bunch of castles to build through. And every time you actually land on one of those castles, well, I'll explain more on that as soon as we're able to actually get ourselves a minigame. And speaking of which, here's the first minigame in Pac-Man Party. Every time when someone lands your own, or someone lands on your castle, sometimes they have two different status, attack or defense. Which we'll get to that as soon as we get to the minigames themselves. So here's the first minigame here. It appears to be a target shooting minigame here. So let's see how this all plays out. Search. Use the scope to aim at the castle's targets in the distance and destroy them. The player with the highest score wins. So aim with the Wii remote all by itself, and especially noticeable, press the A or the B button to shoot your actual, well, just the actual targets. So yeah, this is how this plays out. I hate the fact that it's gone a little bit awkward sometimes, because even then though, sometimes my depth perception when it comes to dealing with those minigames, in fact, unlike in Mario Party series, that I'm pretty much masterful when it comes to minigames themselves, for this, not so much, because there are some minigames that I felt quite questionable with the forms of some of these choices they make. And as you can see, on the forms of when I just did manage to activate, is the forms of the power cookie, which what that does, it only activates in minigames, and if you manage to use one of them, and you can able to actually boost up your forms of certain strategies, like the forms of, if I manage to able to almost lose to this woofer right there, then I can able to use my power cookie to able to actually get a insane amount of points, and then as a result, then I should able to win. So, however though, I will admit though is that the power cookies are really overpowered, or in this case broken by any means, because there are a few times though, when we get to certain minigames, that there are going to be some minigames that are easily be broken if you manage to able to lose some of these your friends so easily. Kind of like how it does in the forms of the Destroyer of Souls, but in forms of, you know, Super Sonic as a playable character in Sonic R. Think of like that, except it's a party game and it's not just a racing game, so... Okay then, so let's see what I'm gonna go for. Well, I suppose, yeah, because with these, numbers you want to go for, they're all randomized though every time you want to get to the next, couple of numbers up ahead. So, yes, yeah, as I was saying, but it forms of how to factor what the defense and attack is for. If someone lands on someone else's castle, and if they're about to try to say attack, and then if you manage to win the minigame, you weren't able to claim the castle. But if you want to, oh, you gotta be kidding me. That's not fair. I'm guessing that happens is that two people managed to able to land on that space. So, fine. I'll let Patra land on that. Jeez. Jeez, I wonder how the fact that the luck factor might be still present around here. But I digress. As far as defense goes, if you weren't able to keep your castle that way, and if you managed to win the minigame, then you weren't able to steal some of the cookies from everyone else. So even then though, especially noticeable if you want to able to upgrade your castle, like let's just say, I believe the maximum amount of levels you can only upgrade up to is the forms of just 5. And even then though, we'll explain more on that as soon as we're able to get to the next minigame. And speaking of which, it looks like it's now Roger is going to be attacking the forms of the actual Patra's castle, and Patra is the only one she needs to defend it. So, yeah, on to this next minigame here. This usually takes place in a golfing course syndrome. And, yeah, that's what I can say. Pack golf. Fly towards the green and get a hole-in-one. Bump others out of your way to get into position. The first player who in a hole wins. So, and basically you have to tilt the Wii remote in order to actually just to maneuver. So that's all you have to do. And I believe the power cookie can also be broken, because even then though, I think what it does is just basically, it'll take you to almost nearly towards the forms of the hole itself, which even then though, that's what I can think about. Boom! Chip in, nice. So yeah, I found this minigame to be quite easy if you manage to get your accuracy going, and you would able to actually just to guarantee to get yourself a hole-in-one no problem. But in the end, I think you probably should able to save up for the majority of the power cookies themselves. Oh wow, those are in tie. Okay, if they manage to get in tie, nothing really happens. Other than that, I managed to get myself my power cookie bonus. Which basically, it only happens whenever you don't get involved with attack or defense mode. So, that's how usually system how it works. So, I don't know what number I can get. I'm presuming I might as well able to go after, let's just say 2 or 1. Or in this case, 2 or 3. Let's see. Oh, dang it, I've already just got 1. Sometimes I'll not be extremely accurate with those sequences like this, but until we get to the later boards in this game, well, this was going to be uploaded for now anyway, and during Monday. Especially noticeable that I'm going to be doing 2 videos in 1 video, just like the ones and how it does it in any other Mario Party game, at least ever since Mario Party 9, because, well, in the forms of how it does it in Mario Party Star Rush and the Top 100, I managed to able to actually upload those videos individually. So I figure I might as well do the same way for Mario Party 9 Let's Play so far. So even then I might as well able to do 2 parts in 1 video just for today. And then I could able to change and spice things up a little bit in the forms of the later days during September. So speaking of which, today was actually forms of the 3rd of September. So that means we've only got ourselves... Well, I think it's a great way to able to actually do this Let's Play to begin with, because after all, we've only got a month left until Super Mario Party for the Nintendo Switch will be releasing during the next month. So, jeez, I can't believe these days are going flying by. So anyways though, we got another minigame to deal with right there, so... I mean, this is easily the most annoying part of this game to me. I mean, it's really repetitive, like, the battles, and especially with those loading screens, I mean, it just gets like... I don't know, it just makes some of these games take a very long time. I mean, that's the only downside about this game, because there's gonna be a lot of cinematics and also loading screens. I mean, that's the only downside. Anyways, danger dish. Push other players off the slippery plate. Grab fruit to power up. Last player standing wins. So tilt the Wii remote in a corresponding direction until you're able to actually knock someone else off. Think of like how it does in Bumper Balls from Mario Party 1 and 2, but except, again, it's incredibly broken sometimes. Because if you manage to grab the fruit, that's it. There was no way you can able to lose this unless if you know what you're doing. But even then, this game can get pretty ridiculous sometimes. I know it's a little bit too much cringeworthy, but I don't know. Anyways, here's my another power cookie I've got. So, yeah, I think that pretty much summarized of how it does it in Pac-Man Party, basically. Other than that, well, aside from the forms of the castle upgrade system, which we'll get into that as soon as I'm able to get myself, like, let's just say, might as well able to get 1 or 2 this time, so I'm hoping I can able to get that case. So, let's get into this. Alright. Alright, I'll take 1. Especially noticeable, I really want to get that double castle out of the way, so just in case I need to upgrade the actual castles all by itself. Because yes, if you manage to land on the exact same point, on the forms of right near to where the castle is, like the forms of the double jointed castle, then you would able to actually upgrade yourselves into your next level into the forms of the castle system. Like, for instance, there goes my first level 1 capsule, and this will transform instantly in level 3. So that way the entire castle itself is incredibly big, and again, the highest level you can get up to is the forms of level 5. Luckily though, unlike in the forms of how it does it in Boom Street, or in this case Fortune Street, that you have to pay a lot of currency in order to actually just manage to able to upgrade your castle. That's not the case here. So, oh gosh, we got 2 minigame battles to deal with right here. I do apologize if my game utterly stutters a little bit. I think it's most likely because, well, I've got this game used, so it's nothing brand new or anything like that. So, well, this was a pretty fun minigame. So we have Spaghetti Rollup. Use the fork to roll up spaghetti, and the player who with the largest bowl of spaghetti wins. So you have to rotate the Wii remote until you're able to actually just get a majority of the spaghetti. So, again, I'm not even talking here because, well, I just have to, like, keep on doing that. Whew. That was pretty rough. Well, not entirely rough, but even then, it just sometimes warms me out every time when there's motion controls minigames is involved. So not a digress, but even then, I've managed to once again win that. And since then, we've managed to win the attack. And this means you can only get up to like 2nd or higher. So at least it depends on these computer opponents they're going to be, well, trying to go after for. So that was my turn to defend my castle in this minigame. Wobbly ice cream. Catch the falling scoops of ice cream on your cone. The player to reach the flag first or stack the most ice cream wins. So you tilt the Wii remote in a corresponding direction vertically until you're able to actually just take control of your character. So this minigame is somewhat feels a bit similar to the likes of how it does it in Wii Play Motion minigame, or in this case a Wii Play Motion game. Now the fact you can able to actually take control of yourself and then you can able to collect the ice cream scoop as you possibly can. It kind of reminds me of that. And also, I was thinking of the same thing for the likes of this minigame is very similar to how it does it in both Mario Party 5 and Mario Party the Top 100 in the forms of the Coney Island, where you basically have to stack up the majority of the forms of the ice cream, and that's all you have to do for that part. Except, there are 2 different ways you can able to win the minigame. You can either collect the majority of those scoops of ice cream wins, or you can essentially try to make it all the way up to the very top of it. So even then, I do like that particular alterations between whenever you're trying to win a minigame separately, or even just, well, you know. Ouch! Patra, I feel very sorry for you with all that disgustingly amount of cookies I managed to able to steal off you. So, yeah, I feel incredibly bad for you there. And it looks like Woofa managed to win that, so it looks like he now finally got himself the level 2 castle. So I suppose you can able to actually just interact with the forms of, if you manage to claim yourselves level 4 castle, then you would able to actually interact with the actual buildings of the forms of, just get on top of the actual castles or anything. So it feels kind of interesting to say the least for me. I don't know about you, but I'm guessing I might as well go after 2. Because I think I should probably go ahead and go after my level 4 upgrades, which sure enough, I actually did. So yeah, that's how it usually goes. So yeah, whenever you play Pac-Man Party 3D on the Nintendo 3DS, oh gosh, the 3DS version is by far the worst of the bunch, because I'll explain more on that as soon as we proceed to the game. And this is also you collect cookies, by the way, as what Roger did manage to get to the starting point. You go all the way around throughout the entirety of the actual square, and then if you get to this particular cookie factory, then you would able to actually claim your cookies based off from, well, it depends if you actually land onto the front of the actual space, or you can potentially try and able to grind as many of those castles, including level upgraded of the forms of the castles themselves. So, oh boy. Hey, it's gonna be a lot of... What? Huh? How did it happen? Oh, I get it. We're gonna have to deal with 3 minigames all in once, so... Oh boy, I'm gonna have to able to do a lot of defending for myself. But we'll get this over with and done with, so don't worry. There's gonna be some plenty of times there's some mini games we have to win through. So here's this fun one. Pac-Man Hustle. Use the Wii Remote to dance as instructed. During bonus time, dance as much as possible. The player with the highest score wins, and you shake the Wii Remote in... Depends on what sequences you're gonna go for, then basically you have to just, well, follow the movesets. And if you do that well enough, then you're probably not gonna add up to your points amount. So, yeah, as you can see, I did have a hard time with this minigame sometimes, because my motion controls doesn't follow me as accurate as far as it used to be. And I'm guessing if you use the power cookie on this particular minigame, what happens is, though, is the fact that you would able to actually get yourselves a hell of a lot more points. So, I think that's how it does with the power cookies themselves, even with the actual game itself. Which, again, it can be very broken in some of these mini-games, which we'll get into that in a minute, moment temporarily. But even then, that it usually just makes your friend... Whenever you play this game with your friends, up to 4 players, as far as I've mentioned this before, sometimes they'll say like, oh, that's really unfair with that particular victory conditions and stuff. But still, that's just how I usually think it is. So, one of the forms of how it does it in Mario Party series that we don't have as cheaper items in order to actually just win the games easily, because they could just simply just, well, if you manage to practice those well enough, then you would able to actually just give that another go. And stuff like that for that nature, so... And there we go, and I've managed to able to claim my victory, so that means I get my defense of my castle itself. So, I wonder what, who's the attacker again? Oh right, it's, Roger. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure every time whenever they get to the attack, icon there, right next to them, they always get so aggressive sometimes, even they trying to desperately want to go after your castles immediately. So, anyways, we're moving on to the next battle. So now Woofa's turn to able to be an attacker, and once again, for a second time, I'm going to be a defender of the castle. So, might as well give my best shot, I suppose. Chocolate Chompers. Collect the falling chocolate balls, but beware of the bombs. The player with the highest score wins. So you move with the directional pad, and especially noticeable with the 2 button just to jump. And that's all you have to do, just collect these chocolate balls and that's about it. It kind of reminds me of the forms of Smarties for some reason in during the likes of the reality world. In the forms of the Sweet Company by the forms of Nestrol, which I'm presuming that's what the company was made from. But except the fact of the matter is though, is the fact that they managed to pop up all over the place when it comes to like shooting stuff and stuff like that. So I will admit though right away is that it's kind of like how it does it in any other Mario Party game, how the fact that every time when you're anticipated by the forms of the minigames themselves, They always goes off pretty random though, which even then though, it doesn't do the minigame roulette system, unlike the ones of how it does it in any other Mario Party games. Well, the only one exception, or actually two exceptions for this matter, but in forms of both Mario Party 9, because you can simply just choose the minigame whatever you wanted to, and especially noticeable with Mario Party Star Rush, at least in the free-for-all minigames department. So, anyways though, now let's move on to minigame number 3, or in this case, well, Battle 3 on this particular turn. And looks like we got ourselves this, donut shop. I wonder how they could be very curious about this one here. But I digress. Donut holes. Launch your characters towards the center of the donut to create donut holes. The player who makes the most donuts wins. So, aim with the Wii emotes, obviously, for the actual sensor bar is always required. And also press the A or the B button to able to launch yourself. And as far as the power cookies goes, I'm guessing it might actually doubles your amount of points, I think. Oh jeez, Patra's gonna be using the exact same thing too. What was going on with this sometimes? But even then, again, when we get to the later minigames, the fact that most of these minigames with the usage of the power cookies can get pretty unfair at points, which even then that can usually makes it a little bit more consumption. So, there we go, I've managed to defend my castle for a third time, and there goes the rest of the other 3. Blast off into the actual, like, well, let's just say the exit or the entrance to the forms of, the donut shop or something like that. I'm pretty sure Homer Simpson will actually love those donuts pretty much. I can at least expect in that. But usually as far as I can think about it, so... Anyways though, let's see how much cookies I can get from Patra... Ooh, ouch. That is much more painful for Patra, by the way. And, since she actually got herself the subtracted amount of, cookies, this means how the fact of the matter is, though, that she definitely need to get rid of her castles. So, well, at least only one of them. And just like it informs of how it does it in Boom Street / Fortune Street, you get some cookies back. So even then, though, that she actually got quite a few cookies as a result. So, my successful attempts with these defenses are going very well right there.